Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are in the Silver SR range, and we will be playing the first round as D.Va before changing to Moira for the rest of the game. And because we are in Silver SR, I don't really care what our team composition is, because below Gold SR, people don't really know how to operate their heroes correctly yet. And as a result, team comps don't function as they should. So there isn't really much point worrying about it beyond, do we have a healer? Do we have a tank? And that's kind of all that really matters, so we're just gonna start the game. So we're defending Hollywood first. We're actually on flowfeedback.com today for the first time in a billion years. So every now and then there's going to be a thing that pops up in the corner. And I'm going to complain about the very first one that appears. So that's, you know, we start as we mean to continue. So we use Defense Matrix to block the other Reinhardt's Fire Strike. You definitely do use Defense Matrix to block the other Reinhardt's Fire Strike, because it just makes it much more difficult for that Reinhardt to build Earth Shatter that way. And Earth Shatter, as it turns out, is a really big thing for Reinhardt. I know, startlingly enough, he's somewhat dependent on his ultimate. So you do definitely use Defense Matrix to eat the other Reinhardt's Fire Strike. It just makes it much more difficult for him to do his job, basically. Yeah. Didn't need, you could have used it to avoid getting, I mean, yeah. I don't, like, boost doesn't necessarily avoid the charge, because you still have to actually react in time to get out of the way of it, but yeah, you know, didn't need to use the boost. He tries to charge again, he got stunned by Baguette, so he's upset about that one, and now we got a Winston behind us. So, while we're dealing with this, both our DPS die over there. You seem to automatically use Defense Matrix as soon as it got charged. I mean, I don't think it's so much as it getting charged as it is just people's response to being like, fuck, I don't want to take damage, so I'm going to use Defense Matrix. I've seen D.Va's hold Defense Matrix over Winston and Zarya, which doesn't really do a whole lot, because they're just like, I'm taking damage, I don't want to take damage. We lost Reinhardt as soon, Reinhardt got picked off immediately, and then the two DPS died while we were trying to deal with Winston. So, you know, basically, get fucked. You know, sometimes there isn't that much you can do about it. So, their Hanzo died at least, though, so we can take some solace in that. Added a drawing. Please show me the drawing. Not needed. What did we block? If anything. Yeah, no, didn't actually block anything that time, so yeah, don't do that. Seems, I take issue with drawing the face on it and not needed. You know, anyway, not to complain too much, but you could just say didn't need to use Defense Matrix, didn't need to actually draw a face in the center of the screen and everything. It was a little overkill. This is a complaint I'm gonna make, though. Change the color of your damn reticle, because, god damn, I can't see the white on this map. So, fight happening now. We're sitting, like, really far back, afraid to take part in this fight. Even though, like, we're in, like, a fight's happening. We can go up and start, like, shooting into these people at this point, but we're sitting really far back, just, like, doing chip damage to people. D.Va's a really aggressive tank. You have to actually be pretty prepared to go up there and start fighting people. She's more aggressive than Winston, really, because Winston... Killing people as Winston is a bonus, right? Like, Winston goes in and disrupts people and, like, tases them, and if he kills people, he's, like, great. But, like, as long as the enemy team aren't, like, really stupid, he doesn't typically kill people. D.Va, however, does have the expectation of killing people when she does that, because she does a lot more damage. D.Va's really aggressive, so you have to be pretty ready to just, like, go up in the fight and start trying to bully somebody. D.Va, in general, also does, like, a lot of burst damage when she initially engages on someone, because you boost into somebody, firing your rockets and left-clicking, so they take, you know, all that damage as you're coming in, then you hit them with the booster, and then you melee afterwards, and then bam, they took a giant chunk of damage right at the start. The booster melee already is 75 damage, somewhere in that region, which is almost half of a 200 health target, plus the damage going in. They did nerf the damage, actually, didn't they? Because they also nerfed the impact damage on the rockets as well. But D.Va still does this big burst when she initially engages on someone. So a lot of playing D.Va is like eating really important projectiles with Defense Matrix, nullifying ultimates with Defense Matrix, and then it's like trying to fucking murder somebody. Just like in a team fight or somebody out of position, because D.Va's really good at just like slapping someone right down immediately upon engaging on them. And then the ult as well. You lost 3 teammates at this point and have 0 defense. Yeah, this is just like a standing thing. It's like, are we actually missing 3 of our teammates? Because we lost Reinhardt. Who else died? Bridget died. Bridget died right there. I didn't see that one. Alright, you got me. Reinhardt hasn't got, like, fantastic self-preservation instincts, which is fairly typical for a lower SR Reinhardt. Try to eat the orb right there. Yeah, 3 people are dead, so Moira just died right there as well. Just leave. D.Va can basically always just leave because of the boosters and Defense Matrix. Just, like, a standard thing, really, is that, like, once you're down... Oh, fuck, we're lucky. We are lucky bastards, goddamn. Once you're down, like, 2 people relative to the enemy team, it's pretty much over at that point. Or if you're just down, like, your main healer, like, or your main tank, that often ends up being enough anyway, and we lost both our healers and our main tank. You want to just get out, yeah. So, startlingly enough, Reinhardt actually blocked the Earth Shatter, despite being pretty bad at the video game, generally. He is in silver, so, you know, not exactly surprising. So, they have a Hanzo on their team, so we do want to try and kill Hanzo as D.Va, which is difficult. The self-defense matrix destruct doesn't really accomplish a great deal of much of anything. Where did their Reinhardt die, by the way? Because he just got rezzed. Got rezzed, like, behind us. I'm wondering how she must have gone entirely around the fucking police station. So, Reinhardt just got revived behind us, basically. Because we know where Reinhardt died, and now we see in the kill feed that he's alive again. So Reinhardt is now right behind us. We can just, like, try and kill him him and Mercy are behind us, actually. So, we could just turn around right now and try to kill the Mercy. Also, probably could have heard the res happening behind us, but I don't have that ear on right now, so I didn't hear it. The self-destruct doesn't really do very much of anything, because, like, the entire enemy team are in positions where they can just get out of line of sight of it quite easily. Self-destruct is not really an ultimate that kills people, because it takes too long to detonate. You can't even really combo it very consistently to kill people, because it just takes so damn long to explode. So it is most frequently used for zoning, and it doesn't really do much if everybody is already kind of in a position where they're not in danger or can get out of danger really easily, and they aren't actually, like, that committed to the fight. So, the defense self-destruct doesn't really do anything. But more to the point than that, just, like, worry about pay attention to the kill feed. It tells you Mercy and Reinhardt are behind your team right now. And we don't want them behind the team. We could just turn around and start fighting them, and we can try and kill Mercy, and then if Reinhardt manages to break our mech before we kill Mercy, well, we still have self-destruct to try and get another mech back. Like, we don't want them to just be hanging out behind us. And as we can see, they just killed our Reinhardt and Bridget. So, it definitely mattered. We should be interested in fighting them behind us at that point, rather than going off to self-destruct, which didn't really do very much of anything. Kill feed's very important. If you know where somebody died, and you see somebody get rezzed, that tells you where they are. And Reinhardt being behind you is not what you want to have happening. So, they have a Widowmaker and a Hanzo. So, we as D.Va are very interested in those heroes because we want to try and kill them. Hanzo is scary to try and kill because of Storm Arrow, but you have Defense Matrix, as soon as you see his bow start glowing, you just hold the Defense Matrix over him. And if he's any good, he'll wait until you're out of Defense Matrix instead of just firing all of the arrows into you. But he's in silver, so he'll probably waste a lot of arrows into the Defense Matrix. And again, D.Va just does this big when she first engages on somebody, so the idea is to just sort of kill him before he can really do much about it. Though fighting Hanzo currently is very fucking difficult to do. And often requires multiple team members to actually kill Hanzo. He's very much like Bastion currently, where it's one person has trouble killing him. Anyway, so their Reinhardt, fortunately, doesn't have much in the way of self-preservation either. Try and eat just like every Moira orb you see. Healing or damage. Like, nothing, trust me, as someone who played Moira for like 3 seasons on, I fucking love Moira, nothing is sadder than playing against a fucking D.Va who just eats the orb every time, because suddenly, fuck, I just don't have one of my abilities anymore, and that's really fucking inconvenient. So, we've almost got self-destruct built up, so we just got shot by somebody from behind us, so it, was it actually Widow? Because we just got, like, a pretty decent shot in the back. Someone's behind us right now, regardless of who it is. We got shot in the back. It's Widow, she's up there. I just saw one of the shots. Yeah, Widow's back there. When you get shot in the back, you typically want to look over and see who's responsible for that. At this point, you hear Widow behind, and, I didn't even hear that. If someone actually say that, put the other ear on. Well, someone did say Widow behind. How about that? They're fucking quiet, though. You gotta speak with your heart if you're gonna communicate. Anyway, we got shot in the back, so we actually could have learned that Widow was there prior to that moment as well. We definitely do want to deal with Widow. Widow is very high on our list of priorities. As we can see, things are going rather terrible right now all around, because most of our team are dead. And we've ended up over here. Now we're running to try and keep up with the payload, so, why do we go up there, also? Just to get past Winston? Or is it maybe to try and kill Widow? Either way, you don't really want to just, like, jump back down at this point, because you're jumping back down into the entire enemy team. At this point, we would be better off, like, if we come up here, we're better off going through the doorway instead, because we can go around there, and then just do a big loop around, and then jump down on the payload and start contesting it again. If we jump down right here, what actually just ends up happening is we're next to the entire enemy team, not even contesting the payload. Now we have to catch up to the payload, and we never actually did. We're better off just going up through the doorway and coming back round at that point. Ideally waiting as long as possible to try and wait for our team to regroup. If it's one of those situations where it's like, alright, I gotta touch it now, and, like, I'm probably gonna die, you want to leave it as long as possible to try and, like, get your team to regroup, basically. Booster, not off cooldown. Yep, sad times. Came off cooldown right as it all ended. Sad days. So we've ended the D.Va segment of the game. Now we're on to Moira, who is a hero I'm much happier to talk about. Moira still being my best hero. I'm still... Fucking, you play Reinhardt for 10 seasons, you end up getting pretty good at Reinhardt, but I played a fucking lot of Moira as well. Moira's a great hero. She's my favorite support. Baguette's also really cool, but, there are situations where Baguette is not very good. Moira is basically always good. There's very little that's just like, Moira can't operate in this environment. She's basically always good. So, damage orb. As soon as possible. Should have saved that orb instead. Nope. Disagree. Flatly wrong. Moira's left-click healing is fucking high, alright? You typically don't need to use the healing orb unless, like, people are very badly getting murdered right now. The thing that is really strong about Moira, right? Because Moira in general is just very well-rounded, right? She doesn't have one thing that's, like, obnoxious about her, and she doesn't have anything that's, like, terrible about her either. The thing that is strongest about Moira is how quickly Coalescence charges. Because she can build Coalescence in, like, 30 seconds, right? Like, if things go well. Plenty of times trying to push up on, like, Numbani, like the staircase on Numbani, just, like, hold left click, throw a damage orb in at the enemy team, hold left click over your team. Fucking first push, we've got Coalescence, let's go. Coalescence builds really fucking fast, and that's the thing that's really strong about Moira, how frequently you can use Coalescence. But the like part of why it charges so quickly is that you can be doing damage while you're healing. So basically, like, you throw damage orb as much as you possibly can. And left click is usually enough to heal people through any kind of encounter. There are situations where, like, fucking everyone's getting murdered really fucking badly because they have no self-preservation instincts and we have no shields or some such, but typically Moira's left click is enough. So the idea is you just throw damage orb at the enemy team, and then while that's happening, you can heal your team with the left click, and you're generating ult charge off doing damage while you're generating ult charge off healing people, and bam, you're getting Coalescence mad fast. And then if you just use Coalescence like fucking 15 times in a game, you probably won that game, right? Like, that's just how it is. Don't disregard. No. We want to use the damage orb as much as possible because we're trying to build up Coalescence as fast as possible. So, Reinhardt's still lacking in the self-preservation department right here, doing some stupid shit. Now, there is a reason to use the healing orb right here, which is Reinhardt's done gone isolated himself from the team. And one of the reasons to use the healing orb is I can't get to the person I'm trying to heal because I'll die doing so. This typically happens with Reinhardt players. Like, if you want to heal someone who is on the opposite side of the fight to you, going through the enemy team is not really an option because you'll die. You can fade through the enemy team, but then you've used your only escape to, like, get to the dude who's already fucked up, which is a bad idea. So if someone is in a location you can't feasibly get to heal them, you just throw the healing orb after them. Reinhardt is now in a position we can't feasibly get to him because he's put himself in the cafe. So that we could at this point throw the healing orb into the cafe, and that'll hopefully be enough for Reinhardt to keep him alive, because we can't feasibly get to him to heal him without killing ourselves at this point. He isn't dead, which is nothing short of miraculous. We're trying to get to him right now. You could already throw it. Yeah, like, true enough, but honestly, don't go to Reinhardt. Don't go to Reinhardt. Because he's being a fucking dumbass, basically. Like, if somebody... You can't heal stupidity, okay? We're better off staying with our team over here rather than trying to get to Reinhardt right now. Because Reinhardt, he is in a location that is difficult for us to get to, and the rest of our team are still fighting right now. So we shouldn't go over here to try and get to him, really. Alright, maybe you throw a healing orb at him right here. Frankly, I've already written him off as dead. Like, he's fucking gone to me. He's not gonna survive. He miraculously, like... If the enemy team are even, like, 1% better, this dude's dead. So I would have just wrote this dude off and, like, gone to heal the rest of the team instead. Because they're still fighting over there. Moira died. Their Moira died. She got rezzed again. If somebody's doing some stupid shit, don't be afraid to just write him off as dead. We do manage to save him, which is great. Like, getting over to him. But at the same time... Fuck him, right? Like, he's not meant to survive this situation. And even though we do save him in this situation, most of the time we won't save him in this situation. So we're better off just hanging on with the rest of the team, because I expect this dude to not survive. Does survive, gets to use Earth Shatter, great. It works in this situation, because they didn't just turn and kill the Reinhardt that did some stupid shit. No need to use Coalescence here. Indeed, we have already won the team fight by the time we use Coalescence, so it ends up not really doing very much. We do have, like, ample time to build it up, because we are in a fairly... we've got a lot of time right now while this is pushing up. So, we don't need to sit here doing on the payload right now either. We can go off and, like, throw damage orbs at them right now while this is happening. It's hard for us to die as long as we don't go into, like, a truly stupid location because we have Fade. So we can move up and throw the damage orb at them while we're during this period of downtime to just be generating ult charge right now. Because, again, the thing that's really strong about Moira is how quickly Coalescence charges. So, like, we basically want to be throwing orbs out as frequently as possible. I don't subscribe to the train of thought that you sit on the orb in case you need a healing orb, because you typically don't need the healing orb. And if you're gonna need the healing orb, you typically know pretty early on in the fight if things are gonna go, like, pretty badly and I'm gonna need the healing orb. Like... it's same principle as, like, Reinhardt with Firestrike. If you don't have Coalescence, and things are, like, pretty neutral at the moment, just keep throwing damage orbs at them, like, on cooldown, until you have built up Coalescence. Because the principal purpose of throwing the damage orb at them, similarly to Firestrike, is it's helping us generate ult charge. So, once we have Coalescence, don't need to throw the damage orb as frequently anymore, because we already have it. So you don't need to worry about it at that point. Then, alright, you can save the orb for more specific circumstances. But if you don't have your ult and things are pretty, like, neutral, just go and throw shit at them. Like, if the building Coalescence is a really big deal, because, like, it charges real fast. Not winnable. It is definitely winnable. It's definitely winnable because we actually have our orb off. Like, you can't see it because it's behind his fucking message, his aura message. We actually have the damage orb up right now. We could also throw the healing orb. Like, the reason this goes badly is because we step on the trap, right? Like, this is definitely a winnable duel. We have Fade, we have our orb coming off cooldown in 1 second. This is a winnable duel. The problem is we step on the trap. If we don't step on the trap, this is easy because we can use Fade to, like, move around, and we've got the healing orb. We could throw the damage orb at him to try and kill him. Like, there's not an unwinnable duel. Moira is, like, really obnoxious to actually kill. The problem is we step on a trap, so we're fucking easy to kill at that point. You know, we could have killed him. And at the very least, like, we were unlikely to die, if nothing else, because we have Fade. We just stepped on a trap. Yeah, Moira does have healing over time. Like, you only need to sprinkle over her for half a second, and she's gonna heal up to full health off that, because it's 50 health over 3 seconds that she regenerates. So, you know, a lot of playing Moira as well is just, like, trying to get as much value out of, the regen as possible, because that's how you get, like, efficient use out of your resource. Whenever a team fight's happening, just sprinkle over them, your whole team for half a second to get the regen. This also helps tie into, like, generating ult charge very quickly. In the middle of a fight, or when teams are poking back and forth at each other, you can just throw, like, just quickly whip your camera across the screen for half a second and put the regen on everybody. And then you're healing everybody in the team fight at least a little bit, healing up chip damage, making them more sustainable in the team fight, all that, healing up poke damage. And then you can save, like, holding down the resource for when somebody is, like, actively being murdered in front of you. And then as long as you're, like, keeping the regen on a lot of people, you're generating a lot of ult charge off of just healing the incidental chip damage off of people as well. Also, we threw a healing orb up in the sky to try and heal Farah, by the way, a second ago. Don't do that. Don't do that. In general, no matter what reason you're using the orb, you don't ever really want to throw it. You don't want to throw it up, and you don't want to throw it down. And the reason for that is once it starts going up in the sky, it's over. The orb is doing nothing more anymore. Like, at that point, it's going to stop healing or damaging anybody. The reason to not throw it down is it bounces off the ground and then immediately starts going up. And then that's it. The orb's not doing anything anymore once it starts going in the sky. So the goal is to keep it moving just horizontally. You don't want to ever have it really going up, because then it's not going to do anything. And a Pharah is not going to hover in the air for the healing orb to actually, like, do anything to her. She's going to fucking drop down to the ground as soon as she starts actually taking damage. So, like, don't bother. Like, the Pharah should be intelligent enough to know that if you're Moira, she has to come to you to get healing, right? Like, she won't. They never do. But don't throw the fucking healing orb at the Pharah, because, like, it's not going to heal her. And then the orb isn't doing anything because it's in the sky. Mercy's not allowed to be doing what she's doing right now, but she's damn well getting away with it, so that's sad. Didn't really need to use Coalescence right here. Basically, like, we want Mercy, like, fucking dead. Tragically, we're not going to kill her in time because we're playing Moira. Just, like, what we should do is just, like, she's low, right? So she's still low, so we want her dead. Just, like, come back around this side of the boxes to get up behind her and, like, just keep draining her. And, like, our orb is almost off cooldown, so we'll be able to use that to finish her off in a second as well. This Coalescence doesn't really do very much of anything. We want to use Coalescence as frequently as possible because, as we established, the thing that is strong about Coalescence is the speed with which it charges, so you can use it just a lot of times in a game. But also, when we're using Coalescence, similarly to all support ultimates, we want as many of our teammates to benefit from it as possible. So sprinkle them anyway because you want the ult charge right now. Put the regen on them regardless. Doesn't matter if the payload heals them as well. You still want the ult charge if you don't have an ult built up already, so sprinkle them regardless. Basically, everything Rooks says I disagree with is more or less the summation of this. When you're using Coalescence, you want as many people on your team to be able to benefit from it as possible. So the goal is really to hit, like, as many people on your team and the enemy team as possible. Right there, we started using it. Basically, it seemed like just because we wanted to use it on Junkrat and Mercy, we want to, like, shoot Coalescence through an entire team fight because we want to be hitting, like, all of our teammates and all of the enemy team as well, ideally. It'll never be that situation where you're actually hitting 11 people with Coalescence simultaneously, but we're trying to hit as many people with it as possible. If we're using it, we don't want to ever use it to just try and kill one person, unless we really fucking need that person dead. Like, I've used it to kill a Valkyrie Mercy, because killing the Mercy and Valkyrie is, like, pretty easy with Coalescence, actually, as long as you're decent at tracking. And killing the Valkyrie Mercy is a big deal. We don't really ever want to use it just to try and kill, like, one fucker, though, because that's not the greatest use of company resources. We're trying to get as many people on both teams with Coalescence as possible. So, right now, Zenyatta, he's getting bullied. We could have saved Zenyatta's Transcendence right here by just, like, being a little bit more mindful of him. Because D.Va's coming at us right now, she's gonna go for Zenyatta. She's unlikely to target you, because Zenyatta's easier to kill. So, rather than, like, fading this way here, that puts us further away from Zenyatta. We can just... Also, it, like, puts her back to a corner, so, like, it's easier to die like that, because you have less options for where to go. We should have instead faded like so, then we will be falling back with Zenyatta, and we can heal him as he's getting dove by D.Va. Because D.Va's gonna try and target him. She's unlikely to target Moira over Zenyatta. So if we're more mindful of, like, Zenyatta during that moment right there, we could have saved Zenyatta from having to use Transcendence right there. Because, you know, Zenyatta doesn't want to have to use Transcendence to save himself, you know? So, at this point, we use the healing orb just because we need to heal ourselves. One of the main reasons to use the healing orb, I'm gonna die. Fuck, I don't want to die. I like being alive, right? Just use the healing orb to make sure you don't die. Like, Zenyatta's the only other healer on the team right now. It's gonna take you a while, so you might as well, to get healed, you might as well just use the healing orb to heal yourself at that point. Staying alive is more important than anything else, especially as a support, so if you're really low health and you can't get to a health kit or somebody else can't heal you, just use the healing orb. So, oh no, it's a shame he doesn't have Transcendence for this, but it all ends up going, like... They weren't in an ideal position to capitalize on it, but then the tire comes in, which kills them through Transcendence regardless, so it ends up not super mattering. That is also one of the times to use the healing orb. Sometimes throw the orb through the graviton and you left-click over it, sometimes they survive, because that's actually a lot of sustained healing. Or, you know, the orb, coalescence, all that kind of thing. Moira does a lot of healing. That's her thing. She does have the highest potential healing of all of the supports in the game. Just because of the healing orb and her both the healing orb and her left click are very high output healing. So the two of them together can make it very difficult to kill someone. I guess you could say that's the unfair thing about Moira, just how much healing she can use without using her ultimate. Because I believe... What does it come out to? It comes out to something like, I mean, I could just look this up, couldn't I, to be fair. Hold on. Moira stats. She does a lot of fucking healing. I can tell you this already flatly, but I can tell you, like, a more accurate number than very fucking high. Healing is 80 health per second, and then 16.6, just say 16, per second off the regen. The biotic orb is 75 healing per second, so already that's a fucking lot of healing. And then her, the healing on coalescence is 140 health per second, and then she regenerates 50 per second. So a lot, a fucking lot. If the orb and coalescence are healing people, it's over 200 per second, and then it's like 150-ish with the orb and the left click. Moira does a lot of healing. That, I guess, you could say that's the unfair thing about her. Alright, Anna would have done more prior to the nerf to Biotic Grenade, but, you know, Anna was really strong, so they nerfed her. So we started using Coalescence right here. It's, like, fair enough, because really, two of them are dead, and we just want to make sure we win this fight, because ideally this is the last fight we have. So we, fair enough, use Coalescence just as soon as the fight starts, basically, to try and keep going through. I would probably throw the healing orb right here, because Winston's right there. Reinhardt's really far away, and in critical health, so again, we can't feasibly get to him. So we could have thrown the healing orb over there to try and make sure he doesn't die, since we can't get to him personally. So right now, we're running right past Soldier. And also, there's a tank over there. We've just heard Bastion turn into a tank. You can't hear it, but trust me, Bastion's just turned into a tank over there. So here, what I do, I throw healing orb after Reinhardt to make sure he does, well, to try and make sure he doesn't die. We can't truly make sure he never dies. And then, while that's happening over there, we can help deal with the Soldier situation, because Soldier is directly on us right now, and Zenyatta's right next to us. Zenyatta doesn't have Transcendence right now, so he's gonna try and kill him. So, if somebody gets blasted by the fucking tank, they're probably gonna die. Oh no, he does actually have Transcendence. Good job, Zenyatta. He built that up pretty quickly, actually. Point stands. I'd rather throw the healing orb after the Reinhardt to try and make sure he doesn't die while they're fighting, and then we can help deal with the Soldier situation, and try and at least make it so that Zenyatta doesn't have to use Transcendence right there. I didn't think he had it, so that would have been my principal concern, but also we could have tried to help prevent him from having to use it right there, because he probably ended up being pressured by Soldier. The tire's coming right now, by the way, so that's scary. Widowmaker managed to break the tire, great job. We're halfway towards having Coalescence again right now. Again, just throw damage orbs, you know, things are neutral right now, we're waiting for teams to regroup, just be throwing damage orbs at them, because over this period of time where we've been doing basically nothing but wait for our team, we could have thrown 2 damage orbs out there, probably. And that's like an extra 20-ish% on Coalescence right there. So we'd be coming into this fight with basically Coalescence already charged. Moira's a hero that benefits a lot from very slight... This is where you just hold left click over that dude, because, like, him and Widow, because they're both about to die. Like, just hold the left click over them. Don't really need to use the healing orb, because they're not going to die, probably. You just want to get them as healthy. You want to heal them quickly, so that they can go back over into the fight as soon as possible. But they aren't, like, in super pressure of dying, so we could just be healing with them with the left click and throw a damage orb over there, and then we'd come into with the extra damage done from the orb, we'd come into this with, like, 90%, 95%, ult charge already, rather than having to build it up a little bit more at the start of the fight. Moira's a hero that benefits from a lot of, like, very slight, efficiency increases, because just using your orb as often as you possibly can while things are neutral gets you so much more ult charge over the entire course of a game. Like, using the orb on cooldown, basically, or close to, over the entire course of a game can end up getting you like an extra 3 coalescences, and an extra 3 ults in over the entire period of a game is a really big deal, because Overwatch, as it turns out, is rather focused around ultimates. Or are we going to do it before just before overtime, so we still get the time extension. If we took 3 seconds longer to do that, we wouldn't get the time extension right now, so we would be unable to win the game anymore from this position. Never underestimate how much, like, one difference 1 second can make. As long as you've got 0.1 seconds left on the clock in that situation, you get the extension. If you're at 0, there are situations you don't get the extension. But yeah, Moira's, like, this is why I really like playing Moira, is that she's a hero where you're always doing something. There's always something you can be doing to increase your efficiency and your overall impact in the game. And then, you know, and a lot of it doesn't pay obvious, massive, immediate dividends. It's like, over the entire course of a game, using your orb as frequently as possible will get you more ults. And just constantly trying to apply the regen on as many people on your team as possible, like during a team fight and just while things are neutral as well. Just like keeping the regen active on a bunch of people over the entire course of a game will probably get you another coalescence or 2. So, like, this is the thing with Moira. This is what I like about her. There's always something you can be doing. You know, and because it's very easy for Moira to do damage. Even if she doesn't need to be actively healing somebody, you can be going off and trying to hit somebody with your right click, right? There's always something to be doing. And a lot of playing Moira is just about, like, incremental if increases in efficiency. So they've already lost their Mei right at the start of this fight, so that's a good start for us. Don't really need to hold the left click over these people. They're not that low. Maybe you hold it over Reinhardt for like half a second, but the regen is basically going to take care of that issue. And we've used up almost all of our resource during this period right here, right? Like, we were at just over half a second ago, and now we're basically empty. So now we're going to need to try and regen some during the fight. If you're out of resource, like, throw a healing orb out there, because while the healing orb is taken, like, right now we should honestly throw a healing orb so that we could I'm fucking reading this, dude. If we throw a healing orb right now, we can let that take care of the damage these people are taking, and then while that's happening, we can run forward and start doing damage with our right click to recharge our resource for the upcoming fight. Because we're gonna probably, like, if you're gonna have the fight, like our team fight, you're gonna need to hold left click over people. Here's where you use the healing orb to heal yourself, because healing ain't coming for you anytime soon. And we keep running into them while we're low health as well. Healing orb, healing orb management, very big deal with Moira. So we've ended up losing this fight. Such is life. That's true. You do get a little bit of extra time out of a little bit of extra distance out of Fade jumping at the end of it. Also, like, hitting geometry at, like, the right angle can do some funky stuff, but, like, fuck it. Fuck it, basically. So now we have to defend the first third of the checkpoint for almost 4 minutes, so it's not looking good. I wouldn't be super optimistic about it. Yeah. Yeah, like, I think we've beat the point to death over the damage orb as much as possible. There are also, like, all of the maps have somewhere where you can throw an orb out, like, before the gate opens, and it'll arrive at the enemy team's gate right as the door is opening. And, you know, you can also just, like, walk up and, like, throw it at their door and then fade backwards, but there's also, like, geometry you can do on basically any map to do it from really far away still. And then, you know, if you throw your orb, like, 3 seconds before the round starts, it only spends 7 seconds on cooldown after the round starts, and they have to get to you. So then, like, as they're reaching you, your orb is coming off cooldown, and you can throw the damage orb, or you'll probably know by that point if you're going to need to use a healing orb in the near future. Hopefully you don't. It's fucking 7 seconds into the round. I think we've probably beat the point to death on the damage orb enough by now, but, like, fucking... Damage orb is a big deal. I fucking hate Reddit, right? Because I blame Reddit for all this shit, basically. Where they fucking pound it into Moiras. They're like, you're not a DPS, you're a healer. So many fucking Moira players now are afraid to do damage at all. They're afraid to throw the damage orb, and they're afraid to right-click people because they're afraid people are going to be like, Moira, stop doing damage, you're a healer. Fucking Moira's meant to do damage, okay? You are meant to be doing damage as Moira. The whole, like, you throw the damage orb, you heal them with the left click and the regen, that's enough in fucking, like, 7 out of 10 situations, right? Outside of team fights, basically. That's gonna be good enough to keep everybody alive, as long as they aren't doing something woefully suicidal. And then, while you're doing that, you throw the damage orb at them, and then that's generating ult charge, and you put the regen on them, and that's taking care of as much damage as possible. While the regen is taking care of things, you're right-clicking the enemy team to do a little bit of extra damage as well, and generate more ult charge, and keep your resource high. And then, when somebody gets low, you stop right-clicking to hold left-click over them for a second to heal them back up, and then you go back to doing the previous thing. Like, the Moira is meant to be doing damage as actively as possible. Yes, you are a healer, so healing is your #1 priority, but you should be trying to do as much damage as possible at the same time, because that's the thing with Moira. She does get to do a lot of damage, especially for support. And because she gets to do so much damage, while having such a ludicrously high healing output, she gets to build her ult so fast. So if you're efficiently using all of your resources, you'll get to ult a truly ludicrous number of times during the course of a game. And if you ult like fucking 15 times, you better win that game, frankly. Fucking Reddit have made Moira players worse by fucking hammering into them, you need to heal! You're not a DPS! No, you're not a DPS, but you are meant to be doing as much damage as possible at the same time. Fucking hate Reddit. God damn it. Anyway. So, fight's been happening in the background. Most of them are dead right now, so it's not a huge issue at this point. Maybe could have thrown the healing orb right there because it's a little scary to go into the doorway to try and heal them when Reinhardt's right there, but at the same time, like, he's probably not gonna kill you. Didn't need to hold left click over her the whole time, could have let the regen and mercy take care of most of that, because right now they're regrouping, so we're not gonna have a realistically good opportunity to recharge our resource anytime soon. So we need to try and be a little bit more efficient with it during periods of downtime. If teams are regrouping, like, you can let the regen take care of basically the entire issue. Because if teams are regrouping, it's hard to refill your resource. So the regen is more of a big deal at that point. Why did we fade? Didn't need to fade right there, because nothing was really threatening us at the time. And one of the cool things about Moira is, doesn't matter if your Reinhardt is bad and doesn't block the Earth Shatter, you can react to Earth Shatter with fade relatively easily. As long as you're anticipating Earth Shatter might happen, just as soon as you hear Reinhardt start yelling hammer, fucking slap that shift key. You have a bigger window to do it than you think you do. So you can actually react to Earth Shatter as Moira relatively easily. I mean, yeah, okay, so, like, we've got more principal issues right now. So we do want to try and keep this We do want to try and heal as many people on our team as possible with the orb. The problem is, Mei is on the right side of us right now. So, you have to think about how you're going to position while using Coalescence, right? Standing over here is actually very scary right now, because Mei has just advanced on us. And Mei is going to take you out of Coalescence pretty easily. So here's what we gotta do right now, right? And this is not exactly immediately intuitive, right? A lot of using Coalescence is trying to find the ideal angle in the team fight where you can hit as many people on both teams as possible while trying to stay safe at the same time, because you're surprisingly fragile and easy to kill while using Coalescence, right? It's one of those things that makes you feel like you're invincible. You're actually quite easy to kill using Coalescence. Probably die using Coalescence more than any other point in the game. So what we should do right now, because Mei is right here, right? Mei's right here. We don't want to be anywhere near that. We should, like, hook through the door on the left, come up this way, and then get over here. And then we can angle the beam across the entire point. And most of the enemy team at this point is on the side we're on right now. So if we just, like, rotate around, and the reason to go through the doorway is so you don't have to go next to Mei, basically, so it just makes it a little bit harder for her to kill you. And she's already used the wall, so she can't, like, pin you in the room. So we can, like, hook around, come over here, and then throw Coalescence through the entire team across the objective. And be basically, like, pretty safe over there, because most of their team is now over on this side. So, yes, we should keep it on our teammates as much as possible, but my issue with this one is that it doesn't provide much helpful information other than don't get cornered. Like, we should have tried to maneuver to the other side of the objective to avoid Mei, because Mei is the thing that's going to fuck up that Coalescence, and then we can just shoot the Coalescence across the entire objective. So, Tire is happening right now. Did detonate next to us, but didn't kill us. We used the healing orb because we don't want to die, which is fair enough. Like, this is one of those situations where shit's pretty fucked, basically. Was the health kit there? Health kit's there. Pick up the health kit as well. Like, pick up the health kit and then follow the orb out. Just picking up the health kit might have been enough to survive this, actually, because, like, that happens. If we'd picked up the health kit, we would have been pretty close to full health, so just that alone might have let us survive. So we're actually changing to Lucio right now. I lied to you. There's a moment in here of not Moira. Yeah, I assume that this is saying to wall ride, basically, both of those drawings. Lucio, faster while wall riding, and then jumping off of the wall. You accelerate off of the wall. So, a lot of the reason to change to Lucio, yeah, speed boost and all that. You can get back there a lot faster by grinding walls the entire way. And Hollywood has some pretty convenient and easy to use walls to grind all the way back across. Christ, this is going to have been a long video. I thought I had enough time to do everything I needed to do today, and now fucking look at this. Fucking 24-minute long video, so of course it's going to shake out to be like a fucking hour long, because I do so love to repeat myself, especially on, like, one of the heroes I play the most. That's a really stupid highlight intro. Like, I just want to point out, like, look how stupid his face looks. Part of it might be the skin because of all the wires, but, like, that looks dumb. High skill play. Winston. I was gonna record another video today, and now fucking look at how time flies. So we talked about a lot of things today, but the big one is orbs, balls, damage balls, always. Ult charge. Feels good, man. Use Coalescence a lot. Try and hit as many people on your team and the enemy team as possible. Try to find the angle in the team fight where you have the best angle for hitting both teams, basically. Because if you're, like, pressed into a wall, it's going to be hard to hit both teams with it, so you want to try and get, like, to a relatively open location where you can see through the entire team fight, basically. You know, sometimes that's pretty easy. Like, if you're attacking, like, Volskaya's second checkpoint, yeah, just, like, over by the door, you know, basically across you're basically hitting everybody right there. Sometimes you'll move to, like, one of the sides, but, like, yeah, you know, sometimes that's easy. Sometimes you have to, like, think it out a little bit more. And remember that you're surprisingly fragile while using Coalescence as well. It's actually, like, easier to die using Coalescence than most other times as Moira, because when you're using Coalescence, you can't use Fade and you can't use the Healing Orb, and those are, like, how Moira actually survives encounters. So yeah, you're faster and regenerating, but that's not actually better than Fade or the Healing Orb for keeping yourself alive. So also, the Healing Orb plus your Drain is more healing than Coalescence heals you. So, like, you're most fragile when using Coalescence, surprisingly enough. Unless you get caught with all of your cooldowns down, but, like, fucking obviously, right? So, orbs, though, big thing. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. Fuck Ryuk, who had some not good advice at multiple points during the game. And I hope you found the video helpful.